Honorable members, we will take a moment for silent prayer and meditation. Thank you. Please take your seats. Honorable members, I'd like to announce in terms of Rule 233 that the Council has received a petition calling for the National Council of Provinces intervention on the social impact assessment with regards to the proposed Knysna N2 toll highway development by Sanral in Knysna, the Western Cape. This petition comes from Mr. Velile Waxa on behalf of the concerned communities of Pelandaba and Khobololo. I would also want to inform you, honorable members, that I have been informed that the WIPARI has agreed that there will be no notices of motions or motions without notice for the city. I therefore wish to take this opportunity to welcome and to request the Honorable Deputy President to the House so that we can now proceed with our questions as they appear on the order paper. Please take the podium, Honorable Deputy President. The first question, Honorable Deputy President, comes from the Honorable Dr. H.E. Mateme. Please proceed, sir.
Honorable Chairperson, thank you. In relation to the first question on attacks against foreign nationals, now these attacks that are being leveled against foreign nationals are obviously a matter of great concern for the government of the Republic of South Africa and for all South Africans who have embraced the values of our Constitution and appreciate what our country stands for in terms of its ethos and the principles that it has adopted. Our security services will continue to monitor areas that are affected and areas that are likely to be affected by these violent attacks. Particular attention will be paid to stabilizing areas where this type of violence is manifest. Perpetrators of crimes against foreign nationals must know, have to know that they will face the full might of the law. However, to effectively and meaningfully deal with attacks on foreign nationals, we need to increase efforts to promote social cohesion and nation building. Communities that are bound together by a sense of common purpose, which value tolerance and respect for others and respect for their rights, are less likely to be sites of violence against other people and especially foreign nationals. These are communities where steady progress is being made in addressing the social and economic needs of our people, that prerequisite for social inclusion. The National Development Plan envisages a nation that accepts people's multiple identities. It envisages a respect for our diversity and united in that diversity. It envisages a nation that is more cohesive and inclusive. It provides a framework for actions that will address poverty, inequality, and unemployment, all of which tend to undermine social inclusion. Young people are critical to the success of these efforts to promote social cohesion. The Department of Arts and Culture has appointed a number of eminent individuals as advocates for social cohesion. Some of these are our former Speaker of the National Assembly, Dr. Frini Chinwala, Advocate George Bezos, and a number of others. They have had a number of dialogues with the youth on social cohesion and nation building across the length and the breadth of our country. The community conversations convened by the department involve youth and vulnerable groups in our society, including foreign nationals. They exchange knowledge on their histories and explore ways of forging a common identity in a free and democratic society. Government recognizes that stopping violence against foreign nationals must be a collective effort. It cannot be done by government alone. It requires all of us as South Africans to join hands to remove the scourge in our country. We need to affirm the values of our Constitution. We need to build communities that are inclusive and cohesive, and we need to work harder to address the social and economic needs of our country. This is our task as we build our nation, as we foster the project of social cohesion. Thank you, Chairperson.
The Honorable Matime.
Chairperson of Council, thank you very, very much. Ke leboga sebaka se, ke leboga Motlatšamopresidente ga a tsebiša badudi ba South Africa gore mmušo wo ke mmušo wa go hlokomela batho ka moka, go sa kgathalege gore motho o tšwa kae, o dula kae, o bolela polelo e feng. Deputy President, ke be ke kgopela gore o sedimoše badudi ba South Africa ka botlalo gore ga botsebotse ba ga ditšongwe ba re mmušo wa go etelela pele ke African National Congress ge o tliša bophelo jo bokaone mo bathong o lebelela ba e leng maloko a mokgatlo wo o bušago. Ke kgopela tlhalošo ye e tletšego go bontšha gore mmušo wo o hlokomela batho badudi ba naga ye ka moka go sa kgathalego gore mokgatlo wa gago ko mofeng. Sedimošo ye ya taba tše di diregang kwa malocationeng ya borena ga re di thabele, re a leboga go botša setšhaba gore ga se policy ya mmušo wo. Re ka ba tlhalosetša gore na ga botsebotse policy ya mmušo wo e reng. Re a leboga.
Re a leboga. Deputy President.
Ke a leboga. Policy ya mmušo o etwang pele ke African National Congress e dutse godimo ga Freedom Charter. Selemo se ke ngwaga wa Freedom Charter, ke ngwaga wa bo 60 wa Freedom Charter, and re tla ba re keteka Freedom Charter ngwaga o. And ha batho ba badišiša Freedom Charter gabotse ba tla hwetša gore Freedom Charter ha e bolela ka botlalo e re lefatshe le re dulang go lona le la South Africa ke lefatshe la rena kaofela. Botlhe ba dulang mo go South Africa ba tshwanetse gore ba dule ba tseba gore ba ne ditokelo ke lefatshe la bona ka mokana rona re tshwanetse re dule re tseba gore lefatshe le la democracy le lwanetsweng ka madi le ka lefu ke lefatshe le tshwanetseng gore le akaretse batho ka mokana bona. O mong le o mong o dulang mo o tshwanetse gore a dule a tseba botse gore o ne ditokelo. O ne ditokelo tse tla tlhomphiwang ke mmušo. Botlhe ba dulang mo ba ne tsona. Yaanong ntho ya gore re lwantshe batho ba tswang ka kontle a se ntho e tsamaisanang le Freedom Charter e ya rena. A e kopane le Freedom Charter. Ka hobane e kgatlhanong le seo se Freedom Charter e se bolelago. E tlile e kgatlhanong le molaotheo wa rena. Ka hobane molaotheo wa rena o bua ka gore re tshwanetse gore re amogele di-rights tsa batho ka moka na bona. Re respecte, re tlhompe malokelo a batho ka moka na bona. Bjanong ha re sa tlhompe malokelo a batho ba bang, go bolela gore le rena ditokelo tsa rena a re di tlhompe. And go tlhompa ditokelo tsa batho ba bang go bolela gore re tshwanetse gore re tlhompe le tsa rena. So ntho e botlhokwa mo South Africa e amogetseng Freedom Charter, Constitution ya rena, e na le ntho e re bitsang gore Bill of Rights, ke a gore ka moka na rene, ha rena re ne di rights, re ne di tokelo, and re tshwanetse gore re tlhomphe le batho ba bang. La eba e le batho ba tswang ka ntle. Ntho e kgolo tshwanetse re gopole ko gore ka nako yane ya kgatelelo le rena re ile ba bangata ba rena ba ile ba tswa mo nageng ye ba ya mafatsheng a mang. Re ile ra re ha re le mafatsheng ao a mang ra tshwarwa botse. Re ile ra tshwarwa botse, re amogelwa ka tsela e botse. So le bao ba tlileng mo go ne mabaka a ba tlisang mo. Ba bang ba bona ba tswa mafatsheng a bona ba tshaba. Ba bang ba tla mo ka hobane ba batla isa bophelo ba bona ko pele. Tshwanetse gore re ba tshware ka yona tsela e re batlang go tshwarwa ka yona. Tshwanetse re ba tshware ka tsela eo e ne le rena baetapele ba rena ba ne ba tshwerwe ka yona. Beke yona e fetileng ne re boloka JB Max la bobedi le ntate Kotane la bobedi. Ba ne ba le mafatsheng a ko ntle. Ba ne ba re ha ba le mowe ditokelo tsa bona a di a ba tsa nkiwa mo go bona. Ba ile ba dula mafatsheng eo bo Russia, bo Zambia, bo Tanzania le mafatsheng a mang a mantsi ba na le ditokelo tsa bona. Bjanong molaetsa o re isang mo setšhaba sa rena sa South Africa kore bao ba tswang ka ntle a re ba tshwareng botse le bona. Re dudisaneng le bona go be le ntho e re bitsang gore social cohesion. Re kgone go dudisana mmogo. Ha go na le mathata re dula fatshe re buisana ka ona mathata ao. Ke ona tsela e ANC batlang go isa bophelo ba rona ka moka na rena kwa pele. Ke a leboga.
Re a leboga, Deputy President. Members, is there any other member? The Honorable Khai. Please remember, I'm going to take only 3 more hands. Honorable Khai, ma'am, I recognize you. I recognize Ndati Smith. I recognize Ndati Vauda. I will endeavor to recognize the hands I have not recognized on this round, in the next round, if you have supplementary, so that we spread the time around. Honorable Khai. Oh, Honorable Khai, I'm sorry. It's
I was
jet
ready
lag.
to ask a question. I was going
It
to
is
take the
Ndati Khaila.
opportunity.
Ndati Khaila, my apologies.
No, not a problem, Honorable Chairperson. Deputy President, it looks like most of the xenophobic attacks are targeting those foreign nationals who are mainly doing what we call a survival business. Spaza shops, saloons, and so. Is there any government regulation to control these nationals, foreign nationals coming in to do those type of business? Is there any policy that controls that? And if there is none, do you envisage to have one? Lastly, is there any capacity to capacitate our people to do this business? Because if you, Deputy Chairperson, you go around South Africa, even in the villages, all the shops are being run by foreign businesses. We're not against them coming in, but at least abantwana bethu mayibe khona into abayifumanayo. Noko mangasoze kuhambe nengququ ezina zesonka, Deputy President. Ngaba ingakhona into enothi noko ikhona i-control kulo mhlaba. Bana noko nabana balapha babe nento abayifumanayo. Inkosi.
Inkosi Tata, Deputy President.
The businesses that run in our country have to be run in accordance with the laws that regulate businesses in our country. They have to register in terms of the laws of our country. They have to be registered for VAT, for all various other, in terms of all various other regulations. And clearly, businesses that are also owned by foreign nationals have to comply with the laws of our country. They cannot operate outside the parameters of the laws of our country. It is true that a number of foreign nationals have spread across the country and are running a number of businesses. Some of them are survival type of businesses. They are to be found in our townships, in our various towns, and all that. And one would obviously hope that all that is being done in accordance with the regulations in terms of the registration of those businesses, and they comply with all the regulatory aspects of our laws. Now, people complain about these businesses and say that they are utilizing a number of other methods to have much cheaper prices for various commodities. And I know that the Minister of Small Business and Cooperatives has been in dialogue, not only with a number of foreign nationals, but also with a number of business organizations that represent businesses in our country, in the townships and various small towns. And she is currently preoccupied with precisely this challenge, this issue that has been raised by a number of business people. And I'm sure that they will be able to find a good modus operandi so that those businesses, if they continue running their businesses, should run their businesses without any threat of violence being leveled against them. And obviously, our local business people should also continue running their own businesses and competing with the foreign-owned businesses. So I think a clear level playing field needs to be created, and she is busy with that. I know that for a fact. Thank you, Chairperson.
Thank you, Deputy President. The Honorable Masango.
Thank you, Chair. Honorable Deputy President, what is the role of the moral regeneration movement in fostering social cohesion in communities amongst A, South Africans and B, foreign nationals? Thank you, Chair.
President.
The moral regeneration process was aimed at fostering moral regeneration amongst all of us as South Africans, and has been busy with that. That was also a task that was fulfilled by former Deputy President. The President has raised this, and he would like the current Deputy President to also be seized with this matter. And in getting seized with it, we are going through, my office going to do preparatory work to see how best we can strengthen the project of moral regeneration in our country. It is absolutely important. As it was initially conceived, it was correct to have done so, and it achieved a lot. Now, currently, we will want to continue with that type of work and make sure that indeed this whole task of moral regeneration is spread throughout the country, so that it should not just be at national level, it should also be at provincial level and even at local level. So it is a matter that we are paying close attention to, and we will be getting into the task with a great deal of enthusiasm. Thank you.
Thank you, Deputy President. The Honorable Smith.
Thank you, Honorable Chairperson, Honorable Deputy President. I would like to know whether the government recognizes the consequential link between youth unemployment and poverty and the increase in looting that takes place during attacks on foreigners, as recently witnessed. If not, why not? What plans are in place to combat increased levels of unemployment and concomitant frustrations? Thank you.
The Deputy President.
Yes, in part, there is clearly a link between what is happening in terms of unemployment and the frustration that a number of our people experience. But as I said at an early stage, that quite a bit of what happens in terms of attacks on foreign nationals is also inspired by criminality, where we've had foreign nationals being targeted by people with criminal intent, looting their shops, stealing goods from their shops. And our view is that there can just be no justification whatsoever for anyone, even if you are unemployed, even if you are going under stress, to go and violate the rights of other people and go and steal their property. Clearly, unemployment is a major problem in our country, and the government has and continues to take steps to address the challenge of unemployment. And we have identified 3 ills in our country: unemployment, inequality, and we are addressing those. We are addressing those in quite a vigorous way, and the government has set up a number of initiatives, number of programs to reduce the level of unemployment, to address the question of inequality and poverty. Those are being addressed, and as we have often said, this is a government that has demonstrated that it cares. It's a government that underpins everything that it does with a great deal of care for the citizens of our country. We've set up various programs, including the Extended Public Works Program, that in the next few years is going to offer job opportunities to up to 6 million people, and many of those are going to be young people. And in terms of a number of projects that the government is involved in, including infrastructure rollout projects, there are set aside processes that are going to enable young people to get positions in various construction opportunities. And as we speak, we're also trying to get a number of young people into training opportunities so that they can increase their skills. The skills level of young people is being addressed in a vigorous way through the TVET colleges that we are spreading out through the country. So it is a government that is at work. It's a government that is addressing all these challenges of unemployment, inequality, and poverty. And through the various programs, we believe that we are making progress. Progress may well be slow in the eyes of other people, but progress is being made on a continuous basis. Thank you.
Thank you, Deputy President. Honorable members, I did arithmetic the Setswana way. The rules allow only for 4 supplementaries, and I recognized an extra hand. I wish to apologize to the Honorable Vauda. My apologies, sir. Deputy President, we then move on to our second question, which is a question posed by the Honorable Mutara of the ANC in Gauteng. No. I am on funny time. The second question is a question addressed to the Deputy President by the Honorable Van Lingen of the DA in the Eastern Cape. Sir, question number 2.
With regard to question number 2, progress is being made with all elements of the 5-point plan that was decided on by Cabinet last December to address the electricity challenge that our country faces at the moment. On the immediate interventions to improve supply, which was one of the first interventions that the issues that needed to be addressed, Eskom has taken steps to improve the maintenance and operation of its power stations. And some of these steps include adherence to planned maintenance schedules and the deployment of senior managers to power stations. Now, this was an important step that Eskom had to take, and it was during the process of the war room where Eskom recognized that they needed to deploy their senior managers to the stations so that they are not only at Megawatt Park in air-conditioned offices, that they should actually go to the power stations themselves and monitor everything that is happening. And that has been done. Senior managers are now working in power stations. They are stationed there to make sure that the maintenance program is adhered to and maintenance does take place on our aging fleet of generators. Synchronization of the first unit of the Medupi power station to the grid was successfully started in February, as the Minister of Public Enterprises announced. Barring any unexpected delays, it is due to provide full power to the grid by the middle of this year. The War Room is facilitating engagements between Eskom and municipalities to improve management of load shedding. And this will include utilization of technology on how best load shedding can be managed. On the co-generation of electricity by the private sector, regulatory processes are currently underway to renew the existing short-term co-generation contracts between Eskom and private sector co-generators and entering into new short-term co-generation contracts. Now, the Department of Energy is currently running a process of procuring longer-term co-generation contracts. The department has entered into contracts with independent power producers to provide peaking plant power of up to 1,000 megawatts, which is currently being built. Now, this is underway, it is being built. It has also managed 4 procurement processes for the renewable energy projects with the private sector, which has resulted in contracts being entered into for 3,900 megawatts of power, with more than 1,500 already on the grid. Now, this demonstrates that work is being done on cogeneration and also on independent power producers working together with the private sector to address this challenge. Now, the War Room has been involved in doing this in conjunction with Eskom. On the conversion of diesel plants to gas, plans are being developed to convert Eskom's existing diesel-powered open-cycle turbines to gas. Under consideration is the import of gas from a number of sources, and in this case, especially from our neighbor, Mozambique, which has gas in abundance, importing liquefied natural gas, as well as utilizing local offshore and, in the future, Karoo gas sources. On the construction of a new private sector coal-fired plant, the Department of Energy has issued a request for proposals from the private sector for a new coal power station of 2,500 megawatt. The Department of Energy will also be issuing a request for information for independent power producer projects to provide up to 3,000 megawatts of gas-fired power stations. Now, the other issue that we needed to address, which the Cabinet decided on, was to see the extent to which there can be a reduction of electricity demand. Now, the department has also issued a request for information on possible demand-side options. The department will be making announcements shortly regarding the award of incentives or subsidies to successful demand-side management proposals. The War Room has also been engaging with business organizations on the mechanism to reduce and better manage demand. Last week, I had the opportunity to meet with Business Leadership South Africa, which represents a number of businesses in our country. And these are some of the issues that we discussed, and they also had an opportunity to raise a number of proposals, and they put quite a number of proposals on the table. And working together with Eskom and other stakeholders, we are definitely taking decisive action now to reduce the need for load shedding and secure our energy supply into the future. This is work in progress, and as the challenges reared their heads, we were clear that this is not going to be a short-term issue, it will be long-term, but we continue to invite all South Africans to work with us, to have a level of understanding, because we are addressing the issues that concern all of us as a nation. Thank you, Chairperson.
Thank you, Deputy President. The Honorable van Lingen.
Thank you, Honorable Chairperson. Honorable Deputy President, here's your presentation on the 5 pillars. It is actually a little bit misleading because we're not going to achieve with this what we are supposed to achieve. Although the plan has 5 pillars, a lot of it is window dressing and is actually only concentrating on the performance of Eskom. And we do know that a third of Eskom's generation is offline. 2 of the pillars are based on gas.
Honorable van Lingen, there's a point of order.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chair. I don't think it's parliamentary to say on the 5 pillars, a lot of them is window dressing to the Deputy President of the country.
Honorable van Lingen, please proceed. I think the Deputy President will deal with the window dressing or no window dressing, but your point is taken, ma'am.
Honorable Deputy President, Chairperson, gas and energy efficiency is what is in focus. The problem is that gas regulation is not in place. And energy efficiency needs huge interventions on local government level, which is very difficult to control. The plan seems to be devoid of actual economic data. And for example, when you have chosen to do energy efficiency,
there is another point of order.
Why are we not doing the 3rd and 4th windows of energy private producer program, the independent private producer program? You did say it's coming, but it's not happening fast enough. I have a couple of more points, but I will ask my question.
You have, in fact, asked a number of questions,
Well,
Honorable van Lingen.
Will the Honorable...
May I remind members, you have 2 minutes to make your preamble and to put a supplementary question. You still have some time, but you did put a supplementary question. I don't know whether you want to go back to the preamble to make do with the rest of your minutes, but honorable members, please confine yourself to the rules. You've got 2 minutes to make 1 supplementary question.
I would like to know what criteria was used to assess the selling of non-assets or non-core assets of Eskom and where we are going with those.
Thank you, ma'am. Honorable Deputy President.
To answer that more directly, I mean, the Treasury and the Department of Public Enterprises are dealing with that matter, and it is entirely in their hands. They are in the process of dealing with that, and I will not preempt what they are doing by giving an answer right now or even giving you a suggestion of what they are doing. Once they have concluded all that, they will go public and everything will be done as transparently as possible. They are looking at various options, and I think we should give them the opportunity and the time to come forward with whatever proposals they are dealing with. We cannot sit here and try to manage ESCOM from far away. We give them the opportunity. There are quite a number of structures, including Treasury, that are deeply involved in that whole process, and the Department of Public Enterprises. And let me just go back to your initial opening statement. I don't know why you would say that what the War Room is doing is window dressing. The Cabinet gave the War Room 5 issues to address, and those issues are being addressed, and we've been giving, from last week, some answers, some insight of precisely what is being done. The various of the issues that you're alluding to are being addressed. The immediate measures have had to do with things like maintenance. We all agreed that the maintenance had fallen back and ESCOM had not focused close enough attention on maintenance. That is now being addressed. The fleet of generators are now being looked at very, very closely. The original equipment manufacturers are involved. A number of other contractors are also involved. And the skilled managers and technicians in ESCOM are dealing with the issue of immediate measures that need to be taken. The issue of conversion from diesel to gas is a matter that does not really need much regulation, because that can be done now. Regulation, clearly the Department of Energy will be finalizing all that, and all that is in train to ensure that we do convert from diesel to gas, because we're spending a lot of money on diesel. Gas would be a lot cheaper on a unit basis, and we're also looking at cogeneration. Issue of cogeneration is not a smoke screen. It's not anything that you're talking about. It is precisely what is being done. We're dealing with independent power producers, and this is an effort through which ESCOM, the Department of Public Enterprises, is dealing with a number of parties, number of stakeholders to address the energy challenge that our country faces. The fact that the business community has come forward to say we would like to work with you to address the issues that confront ESCOM right now should be seen in serious light. It's not a smoke screen. It's not anything that one should dismiss in the way that you're dismissing it. Those business people are serious people, and they are equally concerned, like all of us should be, about the challenges that we face, but they are coming forward with answers. They are not coming forward empty-handed and with just ideas that are pipe dreams. They are coming forward with real proposals, and we are working with them to address those. Thank you, Chairperson.
Thank you, Deputy President. The Honourable Mtileni.
Deputy President, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
How do you think the 5-year plan will succeed when there is a leadership squabbles and instability at ESCOM? And I also want you to maybe provide us with any proper and convincing explanation as to why the 4 executives at ESCOM were suspended, and whether this is not political expediency on the side of the ruling party, and that those who are, maybe, are they prepared to toe the line or not the line on the party politics? And
Honourable Mtileni, I spoke in very simple English. You've got 2 minutes to make a supplementary question.
Yes.
That is a follow-up question which must arise from the response which was given to the principal question put. Okay. It is not a new question. So I want to avail the opportunity to you, because you still have time, to put a supplementary question to the Deputy President arising from the response he gave to the response he gave to the question of the Honorable Van Lingen.
Okay.
I am sure you were listening to him.
Yeah, but I thought this will also make sense. Anyway, just because.
It might make sense. I do
Yeah.
not want to have this dialogue. Order, comrade, order. I do not want to make the dialogue. I just want us to go back to the rules.
Okay.
I do not want members thinking of how it makes sense and how clever it sounds. I want you to make a follow-up question arising from the response. Please avail yourself.
Yeah. Lexin'wanyani, Deputy President, na mvutisa hi Xichangani. Na ta vutisa ku ri hi mpfhuka ku sungula ku va na hasahasa leya ku tumeka ka gezi. Swi tikomba tiko ra hina ri nga kongomangi helo, mi ta tsundzuka leswaku business sector yi vaviseke nkarhi wo leha. Se na ta tiva ku ri xana ofisi ya n'wina yi kotile ku tihlanganisa na van'wamabindzu na? Ene loko ku mpela mi koti ku tihlanganisa na vona, mi fikelele xikongomelo xihi xa ku ri xa xitshembiso lexi mi nga ta xi nyika ku ya amahlweni hasahasa leyi nga le ku humeleleni hi mhaka ya ku tumeka ka gezi, hikuva se swi chavisana lava nga ta va ta sungula ku endla xibindzu etikweni ra hina. Xana mina kungu ri hi n'wina leri mi nga va na rona na van'wamabindzu va laha tikweni ra Afrika-Dzonga ke? Inkomo.
Yeah, you can see, Deputy President.
That's it. The issue about the so-called squabbles that you're talking about, I would say these are not squabbles. As the Minister of Public Enterprises announced, she said that the 4 executives had been, by the board, requested by the board, and the chairperson of the board communicated that to them, that they were requested to be on leave of absence for 3 months, so that an inquiry, an investigation can ensue. And she was particularly concerned about the quality of information that was coming through and issues that she regarded as being pertinent to addressing the challenges that ESCOM is facing. Now, that inquiry should be commencing soon, and really it is about getting information into her hands so that she can better assess precisely how ESCOM is going to go about addressing all these issues. There is no political expediency about it, including the issue now of governance. The issue of governance is clearly a concern to us as government at the ESCOM level, and we are certain that the Minister of Public Enterprises, working together with the board, will be addressing the issue of leadership. Every institution, every entity needs good, strong leadership to be able to execute its tasks. And that issue is being addressed, and soon we will have answers and solutions to the challenges of leadership that we also face. But having said that, the issues that I addressed in terms of how the War Room is helping to address these matters continues. Issues of the immediate interventions that need to be taken, that continues. Last week, I also announced that I appointed a panel of advisors, of highly skilled people, eminent people, who are assisting in providing advice and coming up with solutions on how best we can address some of these challenges. So when it comes to leadership, it's not like suddenly there's a huge vacuum. The board also appointed acting people, and they are acting, and they will execute their tasks within the parameters of the policy framework that ESCOM has to operate under, and with the guidance of government, no doubt, but more especially the Department of Public Enterprises. Coming to the other issue that you raised in relation to ku ri lava va mabindzu na hi tirhisana njhani na vona, ni ta kota ku mi byela ku ri hi hlangane na vona vhiki leri nga hela. Loko hi hlangane na vona, we were able to hear, as I said earlier, their proposals. And one of the issues that has come out of that is that I'm going to convene a summit which will be held between amongst all stakeholders in our country, labor, business, and government and ESCOM and all the key players. And that summit will address, discuss, come up with a number of suggestions, issues that face us all collectively as South Africans with regard to electricity provision. So it's not like we are doing nothing. We are working day and night to address these problems. One of the things that I even said to some of the ESCOM managers, I said, even if you have to go and sleep at the door of the power station, I want you to do that because we want energy provision in our country to be resolved. And the fact that they've been deployed to the power stations should be demonstration of the seriousness with which we are taking this task. And I'd like to assure all South Africans that we are addressing this problem. It is quite a complex problem. And it is not yesterday's problem, it emanates from our past. And we need to address it collectively with cool heads, with strong will, knowing that we will overcome this problem. We've overcome much more difficult problems in the past, and this electricity challenge we will also overcome. And what we don't need is moaning and whinging and all that. What we need is people who will come forward and say, we want you to strengthen your hand, we want you to be strong, and we want you to take action to resolve the problems that beset the country. That is what we expect of all of us.
Thank you, Deputy President. The Honorable Kaula. You had your chance, Mr. Mitileni. It is Honorable Kaula's.
Thank you, Honorable Chairperson. Honorable Deputy President, in October 2014, the Honorable Minister of Finance announced a bailout to ESCOM of 23 billion rand to be paid in 3 installments or 3 tranches to ESCOM. Now, against this background is an estimated amount of about 10 billion rand that is owed to ESCOM by government at national level, at provincial level, and also at local government level. What I would like to know is what is this war room doing in respect of government also contributing to the problems of ESCOM financially by this failure to honor the payments which is due to ESCOM. Thank you very much.
Deputy President.
This is one of the issues that has led the minister to request this investigation, that let us get better information on precisely that as well. So the war room is aware that there are a number of problems. At local government level, they owe ESCOM. Even users in various parts of the country, they owe ESCOM. And a number of government departments also owe ESCOM. And now the war room is going through precisely some of those issues to address them, to ensure that ESCOM has a better debt collection process or mechanism. And that is being addressed, and we are hoping that ESCOM will be able to sharpen its own mechanism to collect monies that are owed to it. And there are quite a number of reasons why these monies are owed and are outstanding, but we are addressing that because we would like all those who owe ESCOM money, be they municipalities, be they government departments, be they individuals or individual users, they must pay up. We must pay up what we owe to ESCOM so that ESCOM can have sufficient resources to address our electricity challenge. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. The Honorable Zwane.
Person of Council, Your Excellency, the Deputy President, we are really happy for the clarity that you have given with regards to the various interventions by the government of the Republic of South Africa in trying to ensure that the situation of ESCOM stabilizes. However, maybe it would be in the public interest to know if government has actually finalized the issue of tariffs. Thank you, Chairperson.
Honorable Deputy President.
The issue of tariffs belongs in the terrain of NERSA. NERSA as the regulator is the one entity that determines the tariffs, and clearly working together with ESCOM, of course with the Department of Public Enterprises, the tariffs are then finalized. But NERSA is the main player in this. So I think we should wait for NERSA to give that final determination, and it is that entity that we appointed, that we have as the regulator, so that independently they should take into account various factors that should finally lead to the decision on the tariffs. So NERSA, I'm sure, will come clean on all this. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Deputy President. We proceed to our third question posed by the Honorable Mutare.
Madam Chairperson, the South African Development Partnership Agency was established as a government component in the year 2013 under the authority of the Minister of International Relations and Cooperation. Currently, plans are underway to operationalize this agency sometime this year. The 8th South Africa-Germany Binational Commission was held in Pretoria on the 21st of November 2014. It was co-chaired by the Minister of International Relations and Cooperation, Ms. Maite Nkwana Mashabane, and the German Federal Minister of Foreign Affairs, Dr. Frank Walter Steinmeier. The BNC is comprised of 9 committees, which are responsible for implementing BNC outcomes and identifying new areas for possible cooperation between our two countries. The Foreign and Security Policy Committee of the BNC includes in its agenda extensive consultations on continental and global issues. Cooperation between South Africa and Germany is ongoing, and there will be continuous engagements between the two countries to follow up on the outcomes of the 8th BNC. The 9th BNC, which will be hosted by Germany in the year 2016, like other international partners, will be working with South Africa as we expand our development cooperation on the continent. Thank you, Madam Chair.
The Honorable Mutare.
Thank you, Chairperson. Deputy President, in light of the number of strategic agreements and advancements that we have made through these agreements, in your opinion, is South Africa still in need of strategic development aid? And are we best placed to drive and deliver on development packages for the rest of Africa? Thank you.
Yes, we still need a number of engagements, interactions, and relationships with a number of international players, countries included. We do need these to further advance our own interests. We should remember that we are characterized as a developing country, and as we develop, it is in our best interest to have international linkages. And we have done extremely well in as far as having close relations with a number of partners, also in the form of forming binational councils with them, where we cooperate at close range and are able to reach a plethora of agreements that are able to take our objectives and vision forward. So as with Germany and indeed a number of other countries, we do enter into these agreements. And as we enter into these agreements, what we seek to do is to advance our own national interests. And so these agreements enable us to do so. They are a very good platform that enables us to achieve our own objectives. And of course, on a partnership basis, as we also help to advance the interests of our partners. And when it comes to Africa, Africa is very important continent to us. We're part of Africa. We are Africans. And as we advance our own interests, we would also like, on an integration basis, to ensure that a number of African countries that we have dealings with, both economically, socially, trade-wise, and security-wise, are also advanced. And we start off with SADC, our own region, and we cooperate very closely with a number of countries in SADC, and indeed with the rest of Africa. So reaching agreements, entering into agreements, should be seen as part of one of our most important tasks as we extend our cooperation, as we extend our friendship, with a view of advancing our own interests as South Africans, as a nation. We want to place our interests and the interests of our people ahead so that we can address issues of poverty, unemployment, and inequality, and utilizing relationships with other countries, and countries, be they of advanced economic development or developing countries, we are able to achieve that. That is the remit of President Jacob Zuma's government. Thank you very much.
The Honorable Julius, the Honorable Mitileni, and the Honorable Labaskachni.
Thank you, Chairperson. Honorable Deputy President, during the conclusion of the 8th Germany-South Africa Binational Commission in November 2014, it was then announced that Germany had committed substantial financial resources to promote these countries' excellent bilateral relations. The negotiations also affirmed Germany's intention to assist South Africa in its transition to a green economy under one of three focal areas of German development cooperation: energy and climate. Will the Honorable Deputy President please provide the details of South Africa's transition to a green economy with the assistance of Germany? Are we only looking at Russia now with nuclear? Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chairperson. We, as I indicated, have various agreements with a number of countries, and Germany clearly is one of those countries that we have agreements with. And as a developed economy country, they have developed quite a number of technologies that we can learn from, technologies that can help us to address our own challenges. And that is the advantage of having these binational commissions or councils, and through them we are able to mine some of their own technologies to get as much assistance as we possibly can. And with regard to advancing to a green economy, we are one of those countries that are greatly admired in the world in the way that we have embraced the green energy formation or generation. Many countries have not, particularly in the developing countries world, have not advanced as much as we have. We have done a lot, and we've utilized various technologies from a number of countries, Germany included, with regard to solar, with regard to wind, and also with regard to various other technologies, gas as well. We are utilizing those technologies that we are learning from them. I do not have the actual detail right now of the extent to which we've been working with Germany in a particularized way. But what we are doing is to take forward the relationship that we have with Germany to address quite a number of projects that we have in common. And that is the advantage of the binational councils that we have with Germany. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Sir Mitileni. Honorable.
Thanks. The proposed South African Development Partnership Agency would replace the African Renaissance Fund, originally targeted to position South Africa as a leader in the regeneration of the African continent. Unfortunately, Deputy President, South Africa sees the African continent as a war zone. and not as a continent full of potential and worthy of a clear and strong commitment from the country. Is South Africa still committed to the African Renaissance Project? If so, why is the country no longer talking about NEPAD? And the African peer review mechanisms, which were initiated in the then administration. And how would SAPDA reinvigorate the role South Africa plays in the development of the continent? Thank you.
I missed the last part. What is that?
The last part of the input, Deputy President, is the one that is the real supplementary.
How
is SAPTA?
How would SAPDA reinvigorate the role South Africa plays in the development of the continent as a whole?
The first part was a smuggling of a question on NEPAD and the African Renaissance. And the Deputy President may choose to respond to it, but it is really a new question.
I will respond to the one which is prefaced by South Africa sees Africa as a war zone. I think that is factually and completely wrong. South Africa does not see Africa as a war zone. If there ever was something that is completely off the mark and wrong, this is the statement that honorable member has just made. South Africa is committed to the African continent. We not only committed, but we are Africa. We are part of the African continent. And our commitment to its development is irrevocable. It's not to be brought ever into question. And if one wanted to know whether NEPAD is being implemented, you need to see what South Africa is doing across the African continent. We have embassies strewn right throughout a number of countries in Africa, and we occupy pride of place, not only on the African continent. At the AU, we are a respected member of the AU, and we participate with all countries. And the fact that the African continent saw fit to elect one of our own homegrown person, Chairperson Nkosazana Zuma Dlamini, as Dlamini Zuma as a chairperson of the Commission, should testify to the fact that our commitment to NEPAD is quite deep and it is thorough. Now, what are we doing on the African continent? We obviously are pursuing our own interests, but at the same time we promote the interests of various African countries in the way we trade with them, in the way we deal with them, both at a social level, at a political level. And that is what we do. And we are advancing our interests as we advance the interests of a number of other countries in South Africa. And DERCO is the one that is dealing with SADPA, and they are advancing our interests in relation to that. And I would get DERCO to give chapter and verse precisely of all the initiatives that they are involved in. And SAPTA will assume responsibility for coordinating a number of other initiatives of assistance, of cooperation with a number of countries on the African continent. I'd like to assure the honorable member that we are living out the African Renaissance. We are implementing NEPAD. Our relations with various countries in Africa are underpinned by our strong resolve to make sure that we develop the African continent as we develop ourselves. And we do not want to see ourselves developing without moving along and cooperating fully with countries on the African continent. Thank you, Chairperson.
Thank you. The Honorable Labaskachni.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. Good afternoon, Honorable Deputy.
Honorable Labaskachni, you are not speaking into the mic.
I'm sorry, Chair, I'm trying to let you see me raising my hand. I'm already in the corridor. Deputy President, I would like to know what is or would be the difference, the form, the status, and the mandate of the South Africa Development Partnership Agency, and between that and the existing development partnerships that you spoke about now, such as the South African Development Community and the new Partnership for Africa's Development. The differences in form, status, and mandate. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Honorable Deputy President.
The Department of International Relations and Cooperation has made a presentation, and I think they have made it to some of our stakeholders on the establishment of the South African Development Partnership Agency. The key aspects of the South African Development Agency would be to replace the Africa Renaissance Fund, where those aspects are to advance the African agenda, promote regional cooperation, promote South-to-South cooperation, and promote the Millennium Development Goals with the objective of focusing on cooperation between South Africa and other African countries. That is the main objective. And SADPA will address the shortcoming in the management and implementation of development projects, experience where the African Renaissance Fund may have fallen short. And SADPA will also use development cooperation as a tool to advance South Africa's foreign policy goals. That is what it will be doing. It will be focusing on that. And this is no different from what I've been saying, that our main objective is to promote good relations with all countries on the African continent and get to a point where, as we develop, we also foster the development of other countries so that we are seen as a good neighbor, an ideal neighbor, and a neighbor that all countries on the African continent can do business with. So this is what drives and propels our foreign relations policy. Thank you very much, Chairperson.
Thank you, Deputy President. We proceed to our fourth question. It is put by the Honorable Kaula.
Honorable Chairperson, honorable members, South Africa has signed bilateral agreements with Russia in several areas, including in the area of nuclear energy. In his 2015 State of the Nation address, President Jacob Zuma indicated that any matters related to the procurement of nuclear energy will be done in an open and transparent manner. As announced by the Department of Energy, South Africa has also signed bilateral agreements on nuclear energy with China, South Korea, and France. Now, the process of signing agreements with the US, Canada, and Japan is at an advanced stage. The governance of the Nuclear Energy Corporation is guided by, among others, the Nuclear Energy Act, the Companies Act, and the Public Finance Management Act, and it would therefore be unaffected by any bilateral agreements. I thank you.
The Honorable Kaula.
Ngiyathokoza, Sihlalo Hloniphekile. And thank you, Honorable Deputy President. By the way, Honorable Deputy President, I noted with interest the Honorable Deputy President's response to the ESCOM question on the Board of ESCOM suspensions, stamp of approval. And on a similar matter, NEXA, board suspensions, blockages, two different boards, similar issues, different approaches. In view of the developments at NEXA, where there are seemingly sour working relationships between NEXA board members and the CEO, and also sour relationships between NEXA board members and the minister. After the board suspended the CEO and the minister intervened for the board to reverse its decision, it is alleged that this was done to protect some powerfully connected people at NEXA. Should the board not be given space to implement its mandate transparently and impartially by, amongst other things, being left alone to conduct their original investigation on the CEO, an investigation which the minister had supported earlier on in December and even wrote a supportive letter on the move to the board, but later in February, she backtracked against it in a surprising about 10. Why is the board not being trusted to execute their mandate? Is this interference not shielding those who may be culprits in the required investigations? Thank you, Chairperson.
The Honorable Deputy President.
I am not aware of anyone who's being shielded. The minister, as a public official in our country, will always seek to act in a way that will advance the interests of the ministry that she oversees, the interests of South Africa, and indeed our interests collectively as South Africans. So what is underway is a process where things are being addressed with a view of finding solutions. And clearly solutions will be found, and this I would regard as a hiccup in the process of governance, in the process of trying to see how best these institutions should be run. And I would advise that let us wait for the process to unfold, and thereafter the minister and government will be able to set out very clearly what is the way forward. And I would say let us have that patience. I know when these things happen, it is always disturbing, unsettling, unnerving for all of us, but let us rest assured that the matters are being handled and they are being addressed, and proper solutions will be found, as we always seek to find proper solutions for all the challenges that we face. Thank you, Chairperson.
Thank you, sir. Honorable Van Dingen.
I'm standing here with my, the agreement between the government of the Russian Federation and the government of the Republic of South Africa on the strategic partnership and cooperation in the fields of nuclear power and industry in my hand. Why is it that government has been so secretive about this agreement, and whilst it has been made public by Russia already? And why and when will it be tabled in Parliament? Not only this one, but also the other agreements that you have signed as government, as executive.
Honorable Van Dingen, you're making my life very difficult. You are bringing in a new question.
It's not new.
It is a new question. That question does not come out of what is asked by the Honorable Kaula. And I am again going to leave it to the discretion of the Deputy President, but it is a completely new question which has nothing to do with the question as put by the Honorable Kaula and the response that the Deputy President has given on that question. Deputy President.
Honorable Chairperson, I think it should suffice to say that when the President addressed the State of the Nation, or put the State of the Nation to the nation, he did say that all these things that are being done with regard to nuclear energy are going to be done in a very open and transparent manner. That is what our President said. And I think we should rely on that and know that he has put all that to the nation. Thank you very much.
The Honorable Mtileni. Kenny?
I'm covered because part of what he has just answered, Mrs. Van Lingen, was what I was to ask.
Yes.
That is this.
Order,
this thing not
members.
going to
There's a
open-
member on the floor. Yes, sir, proceed.
I was to say the Deputy President has answered the question that I was to pose to him.
Thank you.
Because I was to say, is this nuclear deal not going to open up, or maybe leave the other ANC members, with kickbacks, when this deal is
You are
being
completely out of order, sir. Deputy President, that was no question. Honorable members, that was the last supplementary request for supplementary that I received on that question.
Between Honorable Labuskaghni and yourself, the Honorable Deputy President. And she's been trying to catch your eye, and it's not with disrespect that I'm getting up to point it out.
Honorable Labuskaghni, did you want to make a supplementary on this particular question? Please take the floor.
Thank you very much. Honorable Deputy President, apart from the fact that the terms of agreement leans very heavily in Russia's favor, with Russia, for example, being able to veto South Africans' intentions to do business with other nuclear vendors for a minimum binding period of 20 years, it appears that the agreement lays the groundwork for government-to-government contracting, which is designed to possibly sidestep the constitutional requirements for open and competitive tendering processes. What procurement process will be utilized to ensure that the nuclear build program will be open and transparent as the Constitution demands? Thank you.
Deputy President.
Madam Chairperson, one of the processes that is involved in all this is, as I said in my initial answer, a process through which various agreements are being entered into with a number of parties. And I did say that Canada, the United States are also in line to be entering similar agreements with South Africa. And thereafter, you could say that this is like the preliminary stage. And thereafter, what has been happening now are pre-tender workshops that have been ongoing, involving a number of parties, officials, experts, various people from all those countries and entities, and they have, over quite a number of days, been involved in workshops and looking very closely at what is involved in all this. The next process is going to be the tendering process. And clearly the tendering process that we will get involved in is going to be a tendering process that is very much in line with a good tendering process where, as the President said, there will be openness, there will be transparency. That is what is going to unfold with all this. Now, all these ghosts and horror stories and things that people are talking about are things that they are imagining clearly, and I think we should rely on what this process that's underway will yield, and precisely on what the President said in SONA. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. We proceed to the fifth question, which was put by the Honorable Makwe. He is not in the House. Arrangements have been made with the Honorable Nyambi. The Honorable Deputy President.
I've been informed by the Department of Energy that it is currently doing an analysis and evaluation of all bilateral agreements on energy which have been signed with 63 countries. From 1994 until 2009, the energy portfolio was part of the Department of Minerals and Energy, and most bilateral agreements involve both minerals and energy. The department itself has been requested to disaggregate this information so that the work done by the energy portfolio can be properly evaluated. The Department of Energy will make this information public as soon as this work has been completed. Government is currently considering further bilateral cooperation and partnership agreements especially with countries within the African continent. The bilateral cooperation and partnership South Africa is seeking and is planning to sign are focusing on policy and expert assistance. In some cases, pilot projects form part of this cooperation in sustainable energy infrastructure, such as a pilot solar rooftop project. Thank you, Honorable Chairperson.
Thank you, Deputy President. The Honorable Nyambi.
Ngiyabonga Sihlalo. Mvokoto kimi ukuthi lo mbuto uphenduleke ngalokugcwele. Ngaphandle kwekuthi nje lokusele kuwo ukuthi through you Chairperson Deputy President, is it possible maybe to give the House the time frame that has been given to that process of the evaluation of the bilaterals?
Thank you, sir. Deputy President.
I sought to get a time frame. I was not able to get it before coming here, but all I was informed is that the work is in process, and once the work has been properly concluded, it will be made public. I'm sorry I can't give chapter and verse, date and hour of when that will happen. Thank you.
Thank you, honorable members. Any other follow-up question on this question? None. Oh, the Honorable Khela.
Honorable Deputy President, has the government signed any bilateral cooperation with African countries? And if so, how many African countries have signed bilateral agreements on energy? Thank you.
Thank you. Deputy President.
Honorable Chairperson, as I indicated, this evaluation is currently underway, and so far up to 63 agreements have been signed. We'll be able to disaggregate all this and identify the number of agreements that have been signed in relation to energy and with which countries. But what we can say is that in pursuance of our African policy of cooperating with a number of countries in Africa, we have entered into a number of agreements, and some of them have to do with energy, and that will be disclosed publicly once the information has been properly aggregated. Thank you, Chairperson.
Thank you, Honorable Deputy President. That was the only other supplementary hand we had. We proceed to our last question of the day. It is posed by the Honorable Lebaskachny.
Chairperson, thank you. In many countries in the world, public employment programs are important policy instruments that government use to create short-term employment programs. And this has been used as a policy instrument from time immemorial. Honorable members may recall from history that whenever there have been economic challenges that countries have faced, many countries and governments have embarked on public employment programs. So we are not new in this. Currently, we've got many of our people unemployed, and the government, as a responsible government, has decided that it will embark on public employment programs so that a number of our people whose livelihoods are threatened by poverty, structural unemployment, and economic recession, including natural disasters, job losses, and seasonal job demand shortfalls, their livelihoods are secured and advanced. In South Africa, the expanded Public Works Program, what we call, as we all know, EPWP, is a government initiative aimed at addressing the triple challenge of unemployment, inequality, and poverty through provision of short-term and medium-term work opportunities. To ensure that the program is sustainable, the EPWP programs are designed to equip participants who participate in these programs with training and work experience to enhance their ability to earn a living in the future. Public employment programs under the EPWP cover a wide range of different sectors, including infrastructure, social, environment, and non-governmental. Since the establishment of EPWP, over 5 million South Africans have benefited from work opportunities that have been created through some of these programs. EPWP achieves far more than providing income to the most needy amongst our people. It also improves the lives of the poor by providing a wide range of services as well as assets. For example, it provides home-based care for the sick and elderly by removing invasive alien plants. It creates better pastures for grazing in a number of parts of our country. And through better roads, it creates better access to markets, to schools, to clinic, and enables people to go about. Approximately half of all EPWP participants were unemployed for more than 3 years prior to working in EPWP projects. The EPWP program provides an opportunity for them to work and to earn an income. And what many of us have seen is that as people participate in these programs, they are able to gain skills which they are then able to gainfully use or deploy whenever they get more permanent work. These programs have been lauded internationally. South Africa has received great recognition for pioneering or charting new paths with regard to the way that we are implementing these public employment programs. And they are serving a good purpose amongst our people. Thank you, Chairperson.
Thank you, Deputy President. The Honorable Lebuskagni.
Deputy.
Deputy President. Would you please provide us with the information on what measures will the government put in place, or did the government put in place, to enable people involved in the short-term job creation programs, such as the EPW, to migrate into permanent and full-time positions as promised by President Zuma in his most recent State of the Nation address?
Deputy President.
Chairperson, the EPWP programs enable people to gain skills, to also gain experience, and to be exposed to a labor market, to be able to learn how the world of work operates and works, and by so doing, they are in the main, particularly for young people, training ground to prepare young people for the world of work. It is through these processes that young people are then made attractive to potential employers. Because in the main, potential employers want people who have a measure of experience, who have a measure of skill, and who can demonstrate that they know how the world of work operates. So these EPWP programs, more than just being processes or a project through which people earn a short-term income, they are preparatory ground for people to showcase themselves to potential employers and demonstrate that they can work. Now, a number of them, some of whom one has met personally, have been able to say, through the EPWP project, I was able to gain this job and that job because I got used to the world of work and I was able to either do some building, fighting fire and all that. Now, a good demonstration of that is what we saw here in Cape Town. When we had fire in Cape Town, many of those people who fought the fire gallantly are people who were trained in working for fire. They gained their skills there. And many of us are often tempted to dismiss these programs as Mickey Mouse, as amounting to nothing. In fact, these are meaningful jobs. They are job opportunities, yes, but they perform meaningful work. I have seen how those who work in the environmental sector are able to gain skills, removing invasive plants in our country, and they have been able to free the waterways of our riverbanks, and through that they also gain skills to know plants, to know what is invasive, and to be able to make a contribution in as far as the environment is concerned. Where do they get jobs? Some of them get jobs in forestry, they finally get jobs in farming operations and all that. So I urge us as South Africans never ever to dismiss as Mickey Mouse the task that is being done by all those people who wear the orange overalls in our country. They are doing meaningful work. Let us give them the respect and the recognition that they deserve. Thank you.
Thank you, Deputy President. The Honorable Kaula.
Thanks, Honorable Chairperson, Honorable Deputy President. The Auditor General in the 2013-14 audit report for Public Works states that the EPWP employment figures are, in his opinion, unverifiable. I don't know if something will be done to address that, but I also want to know, outcome 4 of the National Development Plan speaks of decent employment through inclusive growth. The Honorable Deputy President has partly responded to this, but it's indirectly. I would like to know the direct one, if the short-term job creation programs that we are talking about are a response to outcome 4 of the NDP in a direct but not indirect way. Thanks.
The Deputy President.
Chairperson, clearly the issue of being able to verify the job figures should be a challenge, because these jobs are created throughout the length and breadth of our country, quite a number of them at provincial level, but many of them at local council level. And because they are temporary in nature, and even if I were to be an auditor, I would also find it quite difficult to put one's finger on them at the time. But with time, after possibly a few months and so, the figures are set and they are verifiable. And I don't know what period the Auditor General was dealing with. The Department of Evaluation and Performance Management has been able to go into some greater detail in as far as evaluating the efficacy and the effectiveness of the EPWP projects, and they have been able to satisfy themselves that the figures that they are being given, they can look at them closely and they can verify them. So I think it's possibly a question of timing in terms of when those figures can be verified. But it is a complex matter. I'm not saying that it is beyond the ability of the Auditor General to be able to do so, but I just think that we can verify it in a number of ways. Outcome 4 indeed talks about, of the NDP, talks about decent jobs. Now, decent jobs are jobs where people perform permanent work, where people benefit from all the other benefits that an employment process can offer them, like pension and medical aid and all that. Now, EPWP jobs are not permanent jobs. we call them, or we should regard them as a stepping stone, as a good stepping stone, and that is why we call them job opportunities. They are not permanent jobs, and that is the clear distinction. And in this regard, we're not trying to hoodwink anyone. These are jobs that are of a temporary nature, short-term or medium-term, where people participate in a particular project, limited in time duration, and even the participant accept them as such. They know that EPWP jobs are for that duration, and they participate enthusiastically, knowing that they can either learn skills, they get experience, and they are then able to showcase themselves to future employers who may want to employ them. So there's a clear distinction between the two. Thank you, Chairperson.
The Honorable Esak.
Honorable Chairperson, thank you for the opportunity. Deputy President, I'll try and keep it simple. Will the Honorable Deputy President please provide examples of successful short-term job creation programs? Successful short-term job creation programs where government, the private sector, and civil society have worked together to combat poverty sustainably. Thank you.
The Honorable Deputy President.
You said you were going to be simple, Honorable Member. There are a plethora of them. I'm quite happy, Honorable Chairperson, Honorable Member, to provide that information in writing, because there are quite a number of instances. What I did cite was working for fire. This is where the private sector and government have been able to participate in training people, making sure that they can attack fire, work with fire without getting killed, without burning out. Now, I know a number of instances where around the number of areas in our country on working for fire that has been done. I know of instances where these people have been trained through the EPWP program, and they are then able to work with private sector entities, and they become like an army on standby to fight fire. And they are then sustained through either stipends from EPWP, where the private sector also assists. And these are highly trained people who, whenever there is a fire, are then able to get into their vehicles, in their uniform, with their equipment, go out and fight fire. Now, I also know of those who work in the environmental sector, and I'm happy, quite happy to provide chapter and verse, and name and operation as much as possible, because these are real live instances. These are not imagined, they are real instances of people who are benefiting from this process, and where there's a wonderful working together between the private sector and the public sector. Thank you, Chairperson.
The Honorable Khosisi Tlamorago Tobejane.
Thank you, Chairperson of the Council. Deputy President, one has got no doubt that the program we are talking about, it's helping our communities a lot. There's no doubt, nobody will make you, should make you to doubt that program. There are, little challenges that I would want to check. How do we monitor them? That of the 5 million that we are talking about, how do we be sure that we don't recycle one person again and again while others are looking at that particular person? What kind of monitoring are we putting in place to make sure that indeed this program achieve what we intended to achieve out of it? Thank you very much, Chair.
Deputy President.
Chairperson, thank you. I'd like to thank the Honourable Member for raising that question, because it has been raised before. that these programs should not be programs through which we recycle the same people over and over again, and they become like experts at working in EPWP programs. This is a process that we're still learning a lot of lessons from ourselves. And as we gain experience and knowledge, I'm sure we are getting better and better also at being able to manage the people who participate. And as we manage them, we should create a very good balance of making sure that we don't recycle too many people. It is inevitable, I think, that you will find that those who have participated before do come back to participate. The good thing is that they themselves know that this is part-time, and they come in and they leave, and it's not permanent type of employment. And so when they are not selected next time, they will not believe that they have a right to have been selected and say, this is my rightful role, I should be here all the time. So as we gain more experience and as we get better and better, we will make sure that the recycling is not a great component of the program. There will be some who will be participating maybe twice or thrice, but we need to have a level of consideration to ensure that we do not recycle too many people, even as we are looking for experience, but we should be focusing more, yes, on younger people and on bringing new people into the program so that every South African who's without a job and who can participate in this program has a chance to participate. Thank you, Honorable Chairperson.
Deputy President, this concludes our question session for today. We wish to take this opportunity, sir, to thank you for making the time to come to the National Council of Provinces and to give response and give account to what government is doing.
Thank you. Thank you.
Honorable Labuskaghni. Honorable members, just before we conclude, Honorable Mtileni, please take your seat. Thank you very much. Honorable members, the Chief Whip of the Council has requested me to ask the provincial whips and leaders of parties to please remain. This concludes the business of the day and this House's agenda. Thank you very much.